Welcome to the Abrams Boxing Show, powered by Last Out Media and brought to you by www.15rounds.com, the worldwide leader in boxing news. Also, Abrams Boxing PR Media and Broadcasting, the industry standard for boxing media relations and play-by-play broadcasting. Also, check out www.abramsboxing.com, Abrams Boxing on YouTube, as well as M. Abrams Boxing on Twitter and Marc Abrams Boxing on Instagram. Hello, boxing fans. Welcome to another edition of the Abrams Boxing Show. I'm Marc Abrams. We have a big show for you this week. I got undefeated light heavyweight Kenmon Evans right after his big win right here on Watch Boxing TV. Talked to him right after the fight. Also, if time permits, Kendall Holt, former IBF 140-pound world champion, chance to catch up with him a couple weeks ago at the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame with good interviews, see what he's been up to. Let's get right down to the results of the weekend. WBA light heavyweight champion Dimitri Bivol went to 21-0 with 11 knockouts, retained his WBA light heavyweight championship with an easy 12-round unanimous decision over mandatory challenger Gilberto Ramirez. Ramirez now 44-1. That fight took place in Abu Dhabi. Scores were 118-110, 117-111 twice for Bivol, who was pretty dominant in this fight. He may have locked up the Fighter of the Year award with that win. Couple that with the win over Canelo Alvarez in May, and he has as good, if not a better resume than any fighter for 2022. So great win for Dimitri Bivol. Ramirez, who's been knocking everyone out at light heavyweight, just wasn't able to get anything going on Saturday in Abu Dhabi. And, part of that was, I think a lot of it was Dimitri Bivol would not give him anything. So Dimitri Bivol, I know we're going to be clamoring either for a rematch against Canelo Alvarez, or I think a lot of people now want to see the full unification with Artur Beterbiev. So that would be a terrific fight if it happens. I don't think Bivol could go wrong either way. Co-feature saw Chantel Cameron become the undisputed 140-pound world champion with a 10-round unanimous decision over undisputed welterweight champion Jessica McCaskill. Scores were 97-93 and 96-94 twice for Cameron, who's now 17-0. McCaskill's 12-3. Cameron retained her IBF and WBC belts and added the vacant WBA and WBO belts to give her the undisputed championship declaration. Also on the card, unbeaten super featherweight Shazvakan Rakhimov went to 17-0-1, notched his 14th knockout as he scored. He was behind on the cards to Zelfa Barrett to win the IBF, the vacant IBF 130-pound championship. Barrett dropped Rakhimov in round 3. Rakhimov came back and in round 4 dropped Barrett twice and stopped in round 9. I apologize, couldn't tell my 4s from my 9. In round 9, 2:35 was the stoppage time for Rakhimov, who's now the 130-pound world champion. Undefeated Saturday night on Showtime, undefeated David Morrell retained his WBA regular super middleweight championship with a 12th round stoppage over previously unbeaten mandatory Ados Yabasanuli. Yabasanuli now 16-1, 11 knockouts. It was a pounding for Morrell and got the stoppage in round 12th. And unfortunately, following the fight, Yabasanuli was taken to the hospital in Minneapolis, where he was to have suffered a subdural hematoma and he was been placed in an induced coma. So our prayers are out for Ados Yabasanuli for a recovery. Hopefully he can get well and, just every day at a time, one day at a time, and stay tuned to 15rounds.com for updates on the super middleweight contender. The co-feature saw Brian Mendoza score a stoppage win in round 5 over former 154-pound world champion Jason Rosario. The time of the stoppage was 35 seconds for Mendoza, who's now 21-2 with 15 knockouts. Rosario is now 23-4-1 with 17 knockouts. And Rosario said after the fight, he's calling it a career. kicking off the Showtime broadcast was undefeated middleweight Fedor Cherkessian, went to 21-0, scored a 10-round unanimous decision over a perennial contender Nathaniel Gallimore. Scores are 190, 99-91, and 97-93. Gallimore now 22-6-1, but Cherkessian comes home with the victory. Before the Showtime cameras rolled from Minneapolis, 3 fights were shown on the Showtime social media network channels with their Facebook and YouTube page. Longtime super middleweight contender Andre Durrell scored a 10th round stoppage over Yuneski Gonzalez in a light heavyweight belt. Durrell now 29-3 with 18 knockouts. Gonzalez falls to 21-4 with 21-4, 17 knockouts. Durrell dropped Gonzalez in round 9 and got the stoppage in round 10. Also on the Showtime YouTube social media show, former unified champion Julian Williams went to 28-3-1. He scored a 8-round unanimous decision over Rolando Mancia. Scores were 80-71 and 79-72 twice for Julian J. Rock Williams, who's now I think a campaign at middleweight after being the unified 154-pound world champion. And in a rematch, super lightweights, Kent Cruz and Enrico Gogahia battled to their second consecutive draw. Scores were 76-76 twice and 78-74 for Gogahia. Cruz now 16-0-3. Gogahia 13-0-2. They fought in last February. It was a draw. Fast forward to November, a draw. Let's see if they do it a third time to see whose hand can be raised on between Gogahia and Cruz. Last Tuesday in Japan, WBC light flyweight champion Kenshiro Teraji went to 20-1, notched his 12th knockout as he unified the WBA belt with his WBC belt as he stopped former WBA champion Hiroto Kiyoguchi. Kiyoguchi now 16-1, 11 knockouts. In round 5, actually round 7, there was knockdown in round 5, fight stopped in round 7. The co-feature bout that night, fast-moving Puerto Rican southpaw Jonathan Gonzalez went to 27-3-1 as he retained his WBO light flyweight championship with a 12-round unanimous decision over previously undefeated Shokechi Iwata. Scores were 117-111 and 116-112 for Gonzalez. Last Friday night in Plant City, Florida, the Pro Box finished up their last chance tournament with Antonio Moran winning the $50,000 prize with a 10th round stoppage over Kendo Castaneda. Moran now 29-5-1, 20 knockouts. Castaneda falls to 19-6. That took place, like we said, in Plant City, Florida. This week got some good action going on. WBO middleweight champion Janabek Connolly will take on Denzel Bentley for the WBO middleweight championship. That will take place on ESPN Plus at the Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas. Also seeing action will be the top-ranked debut of WBA minimum weight champion Sanessa Superbad Estrada. She takes on Jasmine Gala Villarreal. That will take place again as the co-feature of Alum Connolly and Bentley. I like Alum Connolly by mid-round stoppage. Maybe I'm also going to pick Estrada by stoppage as well. She's one of the best female fighters on the planet for sure, and I expect a big outing out of Sanessa Estrada in her top-ranked debut. Saturday night on the Zone, live in Cleveland at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Hometown kid Montana Love takes on Steve Spark in a junior welterweight contest. Spark coming all the way from Australia. Some pretty good undercard fights on that bill as well. Friday afternoon on Fight.tv, which is most of the time it's a pay-per-view service. The fight on Friday between Sonny Edwards and Felix Alvarado, I believe you can access for free. So that will take place in Sheffield, England for Edwards IBF Flyweight Championship. Alvarado, former champion at 108 pounds. So that should be an interesting an interesting fight live on fight.tv. Thursday night, right here on watchboxingtv.com, the Pain Boxing Series Rumble in Paradise takes place. So it will be presented by Chiro Promotions live in Sosue, Dominican Republic. That will take place live Thursday night, November 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern. There'll be a couple of Olympians on the show, and some of the best fighters have been on the Pain Boxing Series, have been tabbed to take part. So that'll be Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Some news items of the week. Get the news items. Former IBF super middleweight champion Caleb Plant announced on social media last week that he will take on David Benavidez, the former two-time WBC super middleweight champion, in a fight that will most likely be on pay-per-view sometime. I'm here in February or March live. Or it could be on pay-per-view. Benavidez also acknowledged that the fight's happening. Grudge match going down. Terrific fight. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to be there. Depending on the date, looks like I could be wherever the fight takes place. If it takes place, especially in Las Vegas, would love that. Another trip out there. Always looking for a good trip out to Vegas and to see Plant Benavidez. If it's on a big pay-per-view show, I'm all down for it. WBO Championship Committee has granted the sanction of the approved junior bantamweight unification contest between Kazuta Ioka and Joshua Franco. That fight's going to take place December 31st in Japan. The winner of Ioka Franco must face WBO bantamweight, junior bantamweight mandatory challenger Junto Nakatani, and we'll get into him in a minute. 180 days, so good fight New Year's Eve. I'm sure one of the good streaming services will pick up that fight. During the Showtime Morrell Yasabanoli fight, Showtime announced a real terrific fight between Michelle Rivera, 24-0, 14 knockouts, taking on Frank Martin. Martin, 16-0, 12 knockouts. I think the winner of that fight jumps right to the headline to get a lightweight title shot, maybe against Gervonta Davis, which could happen, I'd say, midway through 2022. I think Davis will probably fight in early 2023, rather. Davis will fight early in the year, and then maybe his second defense will be against the winner of Rivera and Frank Martin. So it should be an interesting couple fights for Gervonta Davis. But that fight, the Rivera Martin fight's going to take place on December 17th, live on Showtime, be part of a Showtime special edition fight card. ProBox TV announced that their December 2nd show from the ProBox TV Event Center in Plant City, Florida, will pit undefeated cruiserweights. Number 10 WBO ranked Brandon Glanton, 17-0, 14 knockouts, will take on WBO number 6 David Light, 19-0, 12 knockouts. Should be an interesting fight there. The WBO Championship Committee, in accordance to the news that we just talked about with Franco and Ioka, has ordered the camps of Jesse Rodriguez and Christian Gonzalez to begin negotiations to fight for the WBO Flyweight Championship. If they don't reach a deal by November 14th, a purse bid of a minimum of $80,000 will be administered. The belt was held by Junto Nakatani, who's moving up to 115 pounds, where Jesse Rodriguez is coming down from 115 pounds to campaign at flyweight. Super lightweight contender Shenard Bunch, 19-1-1, 16 knockouts, has appeared on Showbox. Will look to continue to keep his getting to the rankings. He will take on former world title challenger Hank Lundy, 31-11-1, 14 knockouts. That will take place on December 9th in Newtown Township, Pennsylvania, about a half hour, 25 minutes outside of Philadelphia. So I should be at that fight. Be a good test for Shenard Bunch. And finally, featherweight contender Michael Conlon, 17-1, 8 knockouts. The former world title challenger will return to take on former European champ Kareem Gurfi, 31-6, 9 knockouts. That will take place December 10th at the SSE Arena in Belfast, Northern Ireland. That will kick off a huge day of boxing for ESPN Plus, as they will start off with that fight card on December 10th, and then they will, I guess, have the at least the prelims. I believe the Lopez and Pedraza fight probably is going to wind up on ESPN after the Heisman Trophy, but they'll have some good prelim fights from Top Rank's Madison Square Garden show on December 10th. Earlier this week, I was fortunate enough to be ringside and commentate for WatchBoxing.tv in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where they had a terrific 9-bout card. And in the main event, a good-looking light heavyweight by the name of Kenmon Evans, who fights for Christy Martin Promotions, scored a stoppage win over Manny Woods in the main event of that fight. And Evans is a light heavyweight to keep an eye on. So I had a chance to catch up with Evans after the fight, and this is what he had to say. New NABA Continental Champion Kenmon Evans, big win tonight, knocks out Manny Woods, the main event here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Talk about the fight. It seemed like the first few rounds, you were saying you were so relaxed, you could have been on a rocking chair, just relaxing, and then you kind of turned it up.
I think I got too relaxed, and I was just getting impatient because I mean the game in boxing is hit and don't be get hit. I get kind of bored when there's no action sometimes, so I kind of get over excited by forcing the action. So I think that's probably what happened.
I don't know if we said between 3 and 4 or 4 and 5. It almost seemed like the way you came out and started up and everything. It's almost like you got a talking to in the corner. Is that what happened?
I just seen his body movement. I really wasn't putting as much power on my punches. I was just letting it flow. So after I started to turn it up, medium and high and everything, I just felt like I came out.
To talk about the finish, it was very weird. You were knocking him down, but you were smiling when he was getting knocked down. And did you notice that?
I mean, to be honest, I was smiling because, to be real,
But he was smiling
too. For real, because he was telling me, he was like, "Oh, good one," and he was telling me he was telling me.
Interview. Congrats. No problem, bro. Congrats, right?
I mean, he was a tough veteran, and I already knew him for back in the day, so I knew he was going to be slick and come with tricks. And like I said, he took a lot of punches, hard punches, and I kind of figured he was going to do that, but I didn't want to get too overexcited about it because I knew he was a strong opponent.
Round 4, you seemed started to break his will a little bit. Is that what you felt?
I mean, you could say that, but I just kept to the game plan and used my jab and break him down and take him to deep waters.
So what's next now? I know you just finished the fight. What are you looking to do next? Obviously, you're getting to the point where, maybe some of the showbox type of things, and some of those fights where, you're really expected to get a challenge somebody. Is that what you want to do next, or maybe another fight or two?
Yes, Christy and Lisa them and my dad them, we already sat down and talked about that or whatever, but we got to talk more. They mentioned it to me. I'm very excited, and they know once I'm in camp, they get me a camp. I don't have to worry about work and nothing like that or whatever. I mean, I'm embracing the challenge, and I can't wait for it.
And I guess maybe next to the last question I have. First 7-8 fights, no knockouts. Now 3 of the last 4. Is this what's the difference?
The difference is when I did my first 4 fights, I did have people hurt. I never capitalized on it. I think that came from overtime and me tapping in. And now that I'm tapping in, I'm seeing I'm getting more wiser and more knowledge of the game. So now I'm just capitalizing and executing.
And what do you want to say to the fans? Some of the people may know you now, or after this interview, they're going to know you now.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting me. Hopefully I gain more fans, man. I'm here, and I'm embracing every challenge that come my way.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. There you have it, Kenmon Evans, very impressive winner on Saturday Night Live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, live on WatchBoxingTV.com. He's a very impressive fighter. Another fight card I forgot to mention this week, Saturday night on BXNGTV.com. Rising Star Promotions. It will be live from the Showboat in Atlantic City. Emmanuel Rodriguez, good-looking fighter, very popular fighter in the New Jersey area will be headlining that night in Atlantic City. So we got a lot of good stuff this weekend, with the ESPN show. I like the DAZN show, not the biggest names, but there's a lot of competitive fights. Christian Tapping against Thomas Matisse, two fighters I've worked with over the years, will be squaring off against each other live in Cleveland, as well as one of the co-feature bouts. And, it kicks off with Sonny Edwards this week on FITE.tv. I think that's going to be a free show. So I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in this week. We'll get some good interviews, some more good interviews next week. I'm working on some good stuff, and we're going on a couple trips. We're on Abrams Boxing YouTube, where you can see all the interviews. I try to do 5-6 interviews a week. We're going to have a lot of interviews coming up. Working on a couple trips to get in front of some big name fighters from all around the world, some fighters, managers, promoters, all that. So keep tuned to Abrams Boxing on YouTube and 15rounds.com, 15rounds.com. Thank you for everyone for tuning in, and